we work for a company. So we work, our federal contractors, are one of the contract helps reserve component veterans with their companies.
I'm not sure what he needs to run out of his big file, what if he heard.
Is it within the roof?
No. She would pass those down. You can get him
We can still get him help.
Reach get one.
I will probably give him your email, but he will reach out to you.
Yeah, I don't think that discussion will happen.
Just has
Pass
to
it
be,
down.
has to be made.
Do what?
Take one, pass it down. Well, I've got 6:30. I think we can get started here. Of course, this is a new era with the state of Indiana requiring that all elected official boards in the state of Indiana must start live streaming. Wingate did theirs last night for the first time, and there's a lot of, as you can imagine, there's a lot of things to it. And we're hoping that we've got our bugs worked out. This morning it wasn't, but I have to thank Matt Foxworthy. He is our CTE radio and TV guy at Western Boone for West Central Indiana. So students from Waynetown, North Montgomery, Southmont, Crawfordsville, and Western Boone attend his class. Half the time they're at Western Boone, and the other half the time they're at Fusion 54. And it's a really good program. So thank goodness for him. He gave us a very, 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 very reasonable price. We had to order and reorder some equipment, but that's kind of why we got that came down to the wire. But we believe it's working. Now, with that being said, there is some protocol, and I notice I haven't started the official meeting yet, I guess. But anybody who talks is going to have to come up to here, give us your name and your address. Okay. Um, this is the protocol set, the standards set by the state, and the so what I would ask is, you know how always before we've kind of done a discussion from the seats, that can't happen anymore because first of all they're not going to see you. The only thing they could do is maybe recognize your voice. So again, I would ask that you take your public comments to the area on the agenda that says public comments. I might, at times, if I feel like there's somebody wants to say something, put your hand up, and that's what we do, right? I mean, we're not going to quiet. That's the town or the city council does a really good job at that, and the commissioners too. They both allow people to talk and give them an opportunity while they're on that topic. Then let's see, and I will warn you that. These little dinky microphones they pick up everything. So I told Sandy, I go, when you're shuffling your papers, it's coming across. When Barry's over there chewing on his candy, it's going to come across. So we'll see how it works. And I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a good thing. At the end of the meeting, we've got it set up, hopefully, that when we stop the meeting on the equipment, it's behind that door, then it'll automatically archive to YouTube. And we're going to keep those on there forever. So if you want to, let's say 6 months from now, you want to see what we discussed today, you'll be able to go online and find it on YouTube. Now it's better if you have your own YouTube channel. So some of you, not channel, but an account. So if you've never logged into YouTube officially, you might want to think about starting a YouTube channel. Okay. And it is Waynetown, Indiana. That's what you put in the search bar and it'll come up. You may have to scroll down a little bit because we don't have very many, obviously, um, posts yet. But there is no space between Waynetown and Indiana. At first it was all lowercase, and then we've discovered that, well, it doesn't have to be lowercase. It can be, you can spell Waynetown normal with the capital A. You'll still scroll through and find it. So that's where we're at with that. Got our fingers crossed that it works like it's supposed to. It did at what time? Noon today when we did the final test. So hopefully we'll do it. So with all of that said, would you please join me in a word of prayer as I call this meeting to order? Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for a time that we can gather together to discuss the matters of the church or matters of the community. And Father, I'm thinking of our churches this week as we're getting close to the community VBS, and I would ask that you would bless the volunteers there and that good things would come from that. Lord, again, at the same time, we ask that you would bless the community churches as they learn how to operate in today's world and guide and direct them, Father. Be with us today, Lord. Be with our employees. Keep them safe, and we thank you for all the blessings you have given us. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now, we will take roll call a little different way, too. What I need each of you to do, we'll start with Barry. Barry, you need to say your name and yeah, and go around. And the reason we have to do that is so the people watching on video have an idea who we are. So I think they would know us anyhow, but just in case. So go ahead and start it, Barry.
I'm Barry Lewis.
I'm Doug Harris.
Randy Phillips.
Bob Cox. And Aaron is busy with family matters tonight, so he won't be here. Okay. Now let's go to the consent agenda. I have a motion to accept all of the above.
So moved.
Second.
First and a second by Randy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
This was the first marshal report from our new deputy, wasn't it, Kyle? I think it was our first one. First one I've noticed, I guess. No, he's been, okay. No, he's been here that long? Oh, yeah, he is starting to. I guess it tells you, okay. Next up, HWC Engineering, the feasibility study we paid for. It's on the west side of State Road 25 in Keegan. You are here.
Yep.
Here we go.
All right. Keegan Dunn, I'm with HWC. So, yeah, as Bob mentioned, we prepared a feasibility study, basically looking at extending water and sewer utilities up State Road 25 north of town on the west side of State Road 25. So really the purpose was just to see what the capacity of the existing system is and kind of develop a conceptual layout and cost estimates to extend those utilities up. We kind of broke the area into 4 different phases, with phase 1 kind of being the priority, the most immediate need. That consists of that area down here, kind of in the southeast portion of the study area. So that includes the property just north of the wastewater treatment plant, and then the commercial property just north of the railroad tracks there. So basically, to extend sewer up to that area, it'd be looking at replacing the existing gravity sewer north of Race Street. That's just north of the lift station, and extend to basically the northern boundary of phase 1, to the northern boundary of that commercial property. For the water, it would basically consist of upsizing the existing water main from the water treatment plant and well field along Race Street, and then extending that as well up State Road 25 to the northern boundary of phase 1. So phase 1 wastewater improvements would preliminary cost estimate is $1,750,000. For the water, it's $900,000. Phase 2 is the area just to the north of phase 1, right along State Road 25. Essentially same thing for the sewer, just extending that up to the northern edge of phase 2, and also potentially to the western side of phase 2 as well. Um, uh, Phase 2 would require some upgrades to the existing lift station there. There's just not enough capacity in the existing lift station, so it would most likely need to be replaced. Um, as far as the water, that's kind of the tipping point, at which point the existing elevated storage tank in town would not have sufficient capacity to serve phase 2. So there'd be, again, conceptual, a new elevated storage tank, kind of up the wastewater, and then so the elevated storage tank would kind of be in that upper northwest corner of phase 2. It's kind of the highest area in that area. That would also include a booster station, and then obviously a new water main extended up to the storage tank. So for phase 2, wastewater improvements, preliminary cost estimate is $2,280,000, and for the water, it's just over $2.8 million. Phase 3, that large area just to the west of phase 1. Essentially, kind of back up a little bit, we did look at kind of projected land uses for all of these areas. So phase 1 was anticipated to be mostly or all residential south of the railroad, and then the commercial property to the north of the railroad. Phase 2 is kind of a mix of commercial along State Road 25 with maybe some light industrial to the west side. Phase 3 was anticipated just being more residential development. So, our opinion is it would most likely be some sort of land developer that's paying for any extensions into phase 3. So there really is no cost to the utility or to the town for those extensions. Phase 4, basically that upper northwest corner of the study area, that would require a lift station, basically up in the northwest corner, and pump to the gravity sewer from phase 2. So, and again, all of the infrastructure within that phase 4 area would most likely be at the expense of a land developer. So really the only cost there is the new lift station and force main. So that preliminary cost estimate was about $2.1 million. So the focus really, like I said, of the study was looking at phase 1 and how to get utilities up to serve that area. So I kind of laid out in here this table, each phase, for each utility, and then also total. So total project cost for phase 1 is just over $2.6 million, and then so basically, and as it says in the report, we kind of laid out an implementation schedule, kind of next steps, and the next step really is to pretty much engage a financial advisor to see how this project could be funded, and look at available funding options, financing options, and really you can take these numbers that we've provided and get some sort of rate analysis for each utility to see what the rate impact would be. But yeah, that kind of, and either these projects, the report was kind of geared towards doing both water and sewer, but obviously if there's one that's more of a priority than the other, they can be done independently. They're not connected to each other. So,
Right.
But yeah, I'm here to answer any questions about that.
Yeah, you might want to mention that the land to the west, I think you've got that green box around it.
This area here.
That has been added basically for landowners have requested that we add them to the study. And the same way with the red, although, I think we were including the red next to the interchange, but we've also added that other acreage, again, landowner request to the left, the square box. So
Out here?
yeah, in that area. Yeah,
Okay.
we originally what HWC was doing, those two areas really weren't included. But then when some landowners heard that there was a possibility of something happening, then they has to be in it. And I think this is the time to have a good idea.
Yeah, and this is, like I said, this is conceptual,
Right.
but so these areas obviously can fluctuate. It doesn't change too much. Obviously, your flows will change a little bit, and water demand as those areas expand. But.
Right. The, I know, that's a big amount of money, is it not? But we also know that if the, a lot of times, most times, any, commercial industry type that would come in up there would definitely help foot the bill on some of this, right?
Yeah, there's a potential for that.
Yeah,
Right.
right. So it's not like it's gonna have to be all on us, and I never would want it to be all on us, but we will see. And, I've had some preliminary talks with a couple of members of RDC, and, they're kind of waiting to see for this report and then to see what the town wants to do and so on and so forth. And not that they have any money they can give us, but, they could sure help us in other ways, like, advertising the properties up through there. And we know, our, IMPA, they're willing to help us, advertise availability of the land. And so, this is what we asked for. This is what we needed to know. We had no idea. We knew it wasn't gonna be $100,000.
Yeah.
And, do you guys have any questions? Or, yeah, this is the second time I heard this presentation. The first time, it was Doug and I, who's kind of been this committee. We heard the presentation once, and it seems like there were a lot more questions from us then, but, Randy, you wanna look at it again for a while before you? Yeah, you don't wanna write the check tonight? Okay.
Well, if anything comes up, obviously, don't hesitate to reach out to us and can answer any questions. So.
Okay. Yeah, come on up here. That's gonna be bad with those chairs so close.
That's all right.
I have a question.
Well, let me ask mine first. My understanding is this area right here is commercial and it's not, it's agricultural right now.
Right.
And the other thing is, until there's no immediate need to put sewer or water to that property. By definition, agricultural properties don't need either of those things. That's by the county definition of an ag
Bobby has
property.
requested it.
I know, but I'm just saying, by definition, it doesn't have to be run. So
That
just,
doesn't have to be, if we want it to be a potential development.
right, but then you're spending millions of dollars.
Yes, we are.
So that's,
We do that, yeah.
I just wanted to point that out. That's not a commercial.
Well, I think-
It's not. Oh, I didn't say my name, Brad.
This is Catherine Hayes. The other thing that concerns me is that property was built when it was still considered agricultural, yet if it had been commercial, which is what it should have been, which is why we're thinking about running things there, then there would have been notification to the neighboring properties. So by it remaining agricultural, knowing you wanted to add this stuff, that kind of slipped under the radar. I mean, there's a mound of dirt, now there's a building, now there's things, and nobody really knew what was going on there.
Yeah,
Nobody
that
was
all
aware.
county, but we didn't have to, that wasn't us. But
Well, it was Bob Campbell's business going up there.
Right.
Yeah, right, but that's what I'm saying, is that the zoning should have been fixed first before he put a building on it.
Well, I think he can still be agriculture because it's an agricultural facility.
Right, but what it says in the thing is Montgomery County, Indiana has agriculture district within its zoning ordinance. The district is designated for areas without public water and sewer facilities
Right.
and aims to protect agricultural
Right.
land from undesirable urban
So-
expansion.
So what has to happen, if the county wants to enforce that, again, it's, then they would change the designation, like they did out all around Nucor, and, right, they can change it.
Yeah, but by doing it in reverse, then all that went on without any of the neighbors knowing it was gonna go on. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I don't see how that's a problem, I guess.
Building different fire codes.
But if somebody,
Yeah, but what Bobby built was approved by the county, don't forget.
Correct.
Yeah, Right,
Currently
Well-
stopped by the state and he's having to submit for a state submittal.
yep, right, so yeah,
So it
anything
is a
that we,
commercial property, once he gets a C of O.
yeah. And you're friends with Bobby, aren't you?
I'm doing the job.
Okay, that was, David Mills. All right, so, any other questions? Those are good, great questions. No? All right, well, thanks, Keegan.
Yeah.
You can stay here and be bored, or you can leave.
Back up.
Okay, I don't blame you. All right. Lots of things to consider, lots of things to discuss. And I'm kind of hoping that's something, we can get something going for this community out there. Okay. Next up, Kyle Rowe. You got an ordinance violation letter on June 11th, right? And you want to ask why you got it, or?
I got a car from the back of my house that is broke down, the motor's been blown, and I hit a deer with it as well, but it's still drivable before the motor blew. I am planning on fixing that, just not until next year, around tax time, when I get the money to fix it. So I don't have nowhere to put it besides where it's at. Apparently it's a problem for it sitting there. So I just wanna see what I can do to either leave it there or put a tarp over or something, 'cause I don't know where to put it.
Right. Well, if it's not running, then it would be considered a junk vehicle, right?
It is,
But it's not junk to you.
right, but it is registered, it is legal,
Has plates on it?
has plates on it, it's going to expire till September. So I see a problem with it sitting there, trying to put in damage, but that's
Do
it.
you have a time frame?
Tax season next year is my plan to get it fixed. I've got to buy a motor and have somebody put it in. Now it's drivable. Like I said, I was driving it when I hit the deer because it was still running. And I loaned it out to have somebody drive it, and he blew the motor. So
Okay.
that's why it's sitting there.
Kyle, you've inspected it. What do you think? How long has it been there?
Somewhere around there.
Was this one that someone reported to us? Or did we just observe it?
No, it was observed.
Okay.
It was, I
I
mean,
mean, I can probably turn it around where it's not visible damage wise, but
the ordinance, if you're going by the ordinance, it states it has to run, has to be movable, has to have proper plates and insurance. If it doesn't, it's a violation of the ordinance. Obviously, he says it's got a blown motor, has nowhere to put it, so, I mean, it's your discretion on whether you enforce the ordinance or make an exception or whatever.
Right. And what did you say the time frame was?
how long it's been there?
No, when do you think
Be
it'll be running
tax-
again?
Around tax time is my plan.
Not till tax time. Okay. So that'll be
So
quite a
about-
while. That'll be close to a year, not quite.
Like I said, I can put a tarp over it.
Yeah, see, again, with the way the ordinance is written, and that's why Kyle wrote the violation, because by definition, it is a violation to the town code, to the town ordinance. And it's a horrible situation when this type of thing, it's not like it's gonna be junk, right?
Right, I'm not.
You're
I
not
still
planning
owe
on
money
junking
on
it.
my car, so I don't.
Oh, you're making payments on
I
it?
don't even have title for it to do anything
Okay.
with.
All right.
It only has 115,000 miles on it, so. only
What
really-
car, what is the car?
It's a 17 Kia Forte.
So it kinda comes down to us four, what do you feel like
Well-
doing?
If he sold the money on it, he can't do nothing with it. Can't junk it.
You're right. Doug, you got a comment?
No, I'm
What's
thinking-
your address? I forgot.
103 North Vernon.
On North Vernon?
And it's in the back by my barn. I mean, you can see it from the alley, but
Can't fit it in the barn, huh?
no, I got stuff in there and I gotta be able to pull a vehicle in there if I need to work on it.
Like this one.
Well, yeah.
Barry?
Move it in and out.
No, one has a flat tire on one side, cause my brother-in-law didn't take care of the tire properly or whatever, I don't know. But I would have to air that up and then it's hard to move it in and out. Cause I can't start it, I gotta push it out.
Is there any way you can put it behind the barn? So it can't be seen from the public?
And you can see it from the alley.
Yeah, I didn't, it wasn't the alley that's what caused it, I could see it from the road. That's when I-
What'd you say? What'd you say?
I said it's not the alley, I mean, I didn't drive down the alley to see it, I saw it from the road.
Because part of the definition of an abandoned or junk vehicle, at least if you go by state code, I know this is our ordinance, but from state code is, it must be viewable from public. So if you could put it behind, if you could somehow get it towed and put it behind your barn, it's not seen, I mean, yes, technically an alley is, but I know,
I mean, I can do that, or I can put a tarp over it, that's even better.
well, I would say if we let you do that, should put a tarp over it too, but just putting a tarp over it doesn't pass the rule of it being seen by public, because the public can still see the tarp. I mean, I know I've done that in Crawfordsville before, someplace where it's not seeable by the public.
Right. I think the situation that, as Randy, he's still paying payments on it, so he can't junk it out unless he has a big bunch of money to pay it off, and if you had that, you'd probably have it fixed. So what's the will and pleasure here, fellas? Unless, do you have anything you want to add?
Say try to get it moved outside.
Move behind the barn?
Yeah.
I'm
You have
okay.
to remember, even behind our barn, you can see it from 136. We are in plain view of 136 in between houses.
And that's the state highway.
That's, they'd be out of city.
You have to
they'd
look
be out of
between
city
the houses.
limits.
I think we ought to give it a shot.
Yeah.
At least if we moved, it's not sitting in the same spot.
What if he surrounded it with bales of hay?
Build a fence around it. I would say, yeah, if you can get it moved around the back and put a tarp on it, then, you know, we could give you until like next May. And then if it's still there by next May, then
Because I priced motors out already, I can get a motor for like 2,500, then I got a guy that can put it in for under 4. That's all, I like kind of money right there.
right. Not many of us do.
Like I said, I looked up one, but I don't, who'd you guarantee it's gonna be there by the time I'm ready to do it? so.
Right. Did you want to make that a motion?
Sure. I'll move that we have him move it in behind the barn, cover it with a tarp, and then we will revisit this at the end of May of 2026.
I'll second it.
All right, any more discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, you
Thank
got a
you.
little break there.
Thank you.
Yep,
I'll get that letter. Send it to him.
okay. It says David Mills is up. Man.
Is
And
this
I-
good enough? Or I like to lean on the table.
These mics are pretty, in
All right.
fact, you'll get picked up on that one too.
All right.
Let me start out here with reading the letter that we received from David. So everybody will know what we're talking about. That's always a good thing here. Okay, he goes, sorry, but I must. This is from David Mills to Sandy. Make a formal ADA complaint against the town /Eads Town has an ADA TP plan. TP stands for,
Transition plan,
thank you.
ADA transition plan.
That doesn't allow EADS, doesn't allow EADS knows the ADA exists. You need to interpret that for me, that's what the letters. That doesn't
So, all right,
allow what they did.
here's the complaint. How about you just let me do the complaint? 'Cause
Okay.
that doesn't sound like it was written very well. So my complaint is not against EADS, it's against you guys, it's against the town. I did the ADA transition plan for the town, I forget what year. I did it pro bono for you guys. You guys was able to stay within the good graces of NDOT for funding, and I believe we were able to get new road funding because of that, as a part of our work, and I know that. Well, what we missed out on was our sidewalk, upgrades that we could have done at the same time. And so that's really what this complaint is about. It's a two-part complaint, and it started because what we allowed EADS to do was put a sidewalk in the public right-of-way when we should have never allowed them to do that, because that sidewalk belongs to the town, not him. And so when it was installed incorrectly, according to the ADA requirements that this town adopted within the ADA transition plan, it created a new liability for the town in two ways. One way, the cross slope on it is almost what the greatest running slope is allowed to be for a ramp. So if you have a child in a wheelchair that slips and falls over, and they hire an attorney, that attorney's not gonna call Mr. Eads, they're gonna call the town, and they're gonna sue the town because the sidewalk doesn't belong to him, it belongs to you guys. So, as a part of the work that I've done with the ADA transition plan, one of the 13 points of compliance was the sidewalk inventory process, which the town has not completed. What that process was intended to do was to highlight the neglected sidewalks that are existing within the town, but in addition to that, and sometimes moreover, highlight the non-existent sidewalks that are required to be in town. So all of this happened before NDOT provided a funding mechanism to pay for new sidewalks, which again, we failed to do. So I'm here to make a complaint to the town to say, one, we still haven't required doing our sidewalk inventory that the ADA transition plan required when I did that work. Because I told you guys I subbed that out to BF&S because they're engineers and they do a better job with their summer interns. And two, that it kind of works in play when we do need a new hardscape and streetscape in the city, in the town, because that's an issue for our existing businesses, right? And this is why this was triggered by the new sidewalk. The new sidewalk isn't Mr. Ease's fault. This is you guys' fault for allowing it to happen. We have adopted this plan. Sidewalks are, and it has been clarified within the CFR that they are owned by the town and not a business owner or not a home resident owner. So because he's put these businesses up, I'm not trying to stalwart new business coming in town. And as a matter of fact, I'm one of his biggest fans when it comes to the sandwich shop, and I've spent quite a bit of money at the ice cream place too. But I should be able to get in there. I should be able to get in there, and it's not his fault. It's you guys' fault. It's your sidewalk. He shouldn't by law be even building on it. So what needs to happen now that we've got a sidewalk out there, unless you rip it up, we need at least a temporary fix so that people can get in and out of those establishments. And for the other ones that's along the highway, which is the sandwich shop, I'm not sure what to do about the grocery store. But the other ones, many of them can be dealt with simple rubber wedges.
That just goes against the door entry.
A rubber wedge would go up against the threshold of the change of the threshold of the finished floor of the business and the established finished sidewalk elevation. And so a rubber wedge would simply do it. Now, Eases went above and beyond when he's not required to by anybody to at least paint it yellow so that nobody trips, because somebody's going to. The ADA threshold for vertical rises is a 1/4 inch, and that's it. 1/4 inch vertical rise. Anything beyond that, between a 1/4 inch and a 1/2 inch, it has to be sloped and beveled 50%. Beyond that, it's 1 on 12 rampant, with some exceptions up to 6-inch vertical rises. For existing conditions, which we have, we can use 1 on 10 and 1 on 8 for a 6-inch rise, and then I think up to a 3-inch rise, you can use 1 on 8. Anyway, yeah, I'm buying another residence in town right now. I'm in the middle of doing that, and so I'm gonna have 3 properties
On the same street, I understand.
that are all right there together, that all have sidewalks, and the sidewalk condition is awful. I can't use them. I wheeled from 106 West Garfield all the way down the center of the street until I got to Ease's new piece. And I'm sorry, I hope you don't take that offensively, calling you Ease. You're my friend, so.
Yeah, I mean, no, everything's good, just
But-
keep going.
But that's not okay. That's not okay, and so what I'm requesting, without the leverage of an attorney and the the force of or the threat of lawsuits, is simply running through the very mechanism that the government had foresight to give us, which was the ADA transition plan, which has the complaint process put in it and built in, to say, hey, this is my complaint, I want the town to take this seriously, and I want you to do something about it. I'm asking you to start a sidewalk program. Start a sidewalk program, and I know that Bob has explained to me that you guys had a 50-50 program, and
No, not yet. I mean, I've always wanted to do that.
Okay, well, a 50-50 program is not okay. That doesn't work. Because it's not ever 50% my
I wonder how
sidewalk.
Ladoga does it.
Well, so what I'm suggesting is there are other cities and towns throughout our, not very far of our county. Ladoga happened to do a sidewalk program. Unfortunately, it did take a mayor in a wheelchair himself to implement it and get it going. And I'm not suggesting we spend $150,000 or $400,000 a year on it. I'm saying start somewhere. 50,000. There's a reason when you go by a street that was just freshly paved that has no sidewalks, what do you see there? You see truncated domes and a curb ramp. Why do you see that? It's law. It's law that if you repave a street, that you put curb ramps in for the sidewalks. And you see them sometimes without a sidewalk there. Why is that? It's because they know the sidewalk's required to be there, and you guys just haven't put it in yet. So we're trying to play catch up. I'm not trying to be a bad guy. I'm not trying to spend the city's money. I'm trying to say, guys, enough's enough. It's time we do something. Let's start small, okay? And let's stop allowing new businesses to come into town that's not accessible. We want to grow this town. We want to do it the right way. This is where you start it. It's, accessibility it's not a right or a left issue. It's not a black or a white issue. It's not a rich or a poor issue. It's an issue for every one of us in here if we get old enough and we're blessed enough to live that long, right? So it's pretty simple, and it's not hard. It's just understanding what those requirements are to make something accessible, and to set out, make a plan, and do it from the start. So that's it. It's a sidewalk issue, a sidewalk program from the town, and I know budgets are next month. I work for municipalities across the state. I teach them to do this, and what I can tell you is when you have cities or towns that do neglect them, you end up you can become an example, like what I do in seminars, and I tell people an example. My big example is Brazil, Indiana. They didn't listen to the guy that had a complaint, a simple man. He calls up Washington instead of the town, because he'd already told the town, so he called Washington. Washington didn't call up the town. Washington comes into town with a group of people headed by a really super nice lady in a wheelchair. She's got 21 guys that come on the street comb the entire town and evaluate the entire town and then tell them through a federal court that not only are they gonna do a sidewalk program, but they're gonna do it to the tune of so many millions or whatever it was that they told them, and I think it was $1 million a year until they were done. So I'm not trying to get to that point. I'm not trying to threaten to that point. All I'm saying is I understand the process. I know that it can get to that point. I don't want it to that point. This is Waynetown. We're all friends. We all know each other. We all know each other's kids. You know, so I'm just saying, can we please start a new process? And can we please fix the laundromat entrance and the ice cream entrance and the other entrances? And work with the business owners to do it and to do it right. And I'm saying the dime should be on you guys, because it's in the right of way. I'm willing to do the design to be in accordance with Pro Ag, if you guys are willing to take the step to try to make it right. Yes, sir.
I know you live in town. I know you travel this street a dozen times a day. When they was building that sidewalk, why didn't you stop and say something to them and say, hey, you know, let's do all this and let's do this? Because I know you seen it. You probably went by there 20 times and you didn't say anything.
I did. So since I've done the work for the town, I am your ADA consultant. I am not, nor will I ever be the ADA police. Okay? Had I have approached the Eases while they were trying to pour that, I would have been perceived like a know-it-all. Who do you think you are? What he was trying to do was to get rid of a sidewalk that the town wasn't going to do, and he was trying to put new business in there and make a safer place for the guys that are coming in with coin laundry, right? So who am I to stop progress? I don't want to stop progress, right? I don't, I seen it after the pour. I didn't see the slope until after the pour. That's the biggest issue. But I did see that there wasn't doing anything for the steps. Well, he really shouldn't have been doing it. Should have been you guys. You guys should have never allowed him to do that because it's right of way.
Okay, I talked to Pat Fay today, and his family owned the post office. When they had to change the post office, that was on Fay's. They had to pay the bill. Mike Miller's got a problem at his place. Mike Miller's got to pay that bill, not the state. So I don't understand where you're saying what makes that different than that. I don't understand.
If I was to wheel down any of those sidewalks, fall out of my chair, and I have before, just right there at the base, fall out myself. Let's say I was an 85-year-old lady in a walker, and I fall, and then she gets hurt. She breaks a hip. There's some injury there, right? She hires an injury attorney. That attorney is going to look for the low-hanging fruit first, right? That's what they all do. Every lawsuit I've been a part of, that's what they're after. And it always 100% comes down to the sidewalks are owned 100% by you guys. Owner of the business is never brought into it. Mike owns from the threshold back, from the edge of the building to the edge of the building, who my aunt owns now, the post office. All of that, here's what's interesting about that, and this is why we need to be working with BF&S to get the sidewalk inventory done, because BF&S can design a streetscape for us to make that right without leaning and expecting NDOT to do it right, because NDOT expects you to do it right, but they don't, they're do as we say, not as we do. And I can tell you, I've been a part of that process with the city of West Lafayette when NDOT redid the corner of Lindbergh and Northwestern to reroute the football traffic in. They put up all these new black traffic masks and pedestrian crosswalks and everything else. And then they gave it to the city. Well, the city immediately had to make it accessible because they're a college town. They had people that knew the law and that are going to sue for it. So what it amounts to is we just haven't been sued for it. I'm not here to sue you guys. I'm not here to argue with you guys. I just understand. I've been part of many of these lawsuits. I know when it comes down to it, when the blows are all said and done and everybody's done puffing their chest, it's gonna be you guys that is who's responsible. And it's you guys who have to steer the design. I mean, Hillsboro's in the same boat. NDOT's coming through there next year. What's gonna happen to all of those businesses? If NDOT don't make it right, and the city don't hold them accountable to make it right while they're coming through, then the town's gonna be liable for it. I've been a part of these lawsuits. I've seen it happen. It's not the first time and it won't be the last. It's just, we know better. This is the town I live in. This is the work that I do for all cities and towns that.
So our sidewalks, it's humped up, like at my house,
Mhm,
by trees.
mhm.
That, I don't have to pay to fix that. You're
No,
telling me
sir,
the town
that's
does.
correct.
Oh,
If
that's
someone was to
fine.
trip and fall on it and they get hurt, it's the town's responsibility, not yours. It's not your sidewalk.
So do we go around and cut all the trees that's making that
The
problem?
sidewalk's ours, the tree's ours.
That's right,
That's what he's saying.
yes.
That's different than the way I've always been
Yeah,
taught.
until you try to cut somebody's tree down.
Absolutely.
And then then that's another, whole nother fight. I'm not, Davey, I'm not gonna argue about on our streets, but I believe on 136, that's not us. It
No,
can't
that's
ever be
NDOT.
us. That's NDOT.
Well, but it is,
And they're gonna
It's
come
a
through
shared
and do the curbs,
responsibility.
and they're not gonna touch those sidewalks.
it's a shared responsibility. That's the thing, and that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. It is a shared responsibility. You can't touch that without NDOT approving it, so you guys have to hire BF&S and make sure
Is
that
that
BF.
Butler,
Fairman and Seifert. I say them because that's the company that I have contracted with, subcontracted with. They've been a sub under me. We've worked together for a dozen years across the state, working for other cities and towns. They handle the sidewalk aspect. I do the ADA and the Title VI aspect. So that's, and we teach everyone to understand the responsibility of this and then the checks and balances that's put in place for it. And you know, what we're doing, guys, is chasing a law that was signed into law in 91, effective in 93. So
ADA Act.
it's pretty old. And sidewalks actually was clarified in the Code of Federal Regulations in 88. Sidewalks are required to be put with the business. Sidewalk, pedestrian access to a place of public accommodation is required before vehicular access is. And so there are states that are inundated with lawsuits from guys in wheelchairs that are sending in lawsuits from Google Earth images, not even leaving their desk. If they can identify that a business doesn't have a sidewalk access to a sidewalk that's already there, which is why Dollar General went out of town, so they didn't have to have it. Unfortunately, it's those companies that cater to your lower end income levels. They're going to walk more than they're going to drive, and they're always going to find a way, and that's dangerous, and that sucks. But there's nothing you can do about it.
One of my questions is, you said that we missed the opportunity when we paved every street in town.
Yeah, so
And where would that funding come from? Because we know Community Crossings Grant actually says you cannot build sidewalks.
no, the CCMG in the last 4 years, that's not correct. You had to do the sidewalks at the same time you did the streets.
Oh, wait, go ahead.
So the way that I had heard it from my other clients and from BF&S is we had other clients that was getting all of their sidewalks redone the same time their streets were being redone, but it had to be done at the same time. You couldn't do it
Yeah.
one time or another time.
Well, I know on the Community Crossings Grant website, it says no new sidewalks. It says that.
Well, maybe it was under a
So what
different
else were
name.
we supposed to?
Maybe it was under a different name through COVID. Was it a different?
No,
grant?
our first 2 rounds that we did, we could not do sidewalks.
Okay.
After that, we could. But we had already done all the streets that we had sidewalks on.
Yeah.
We did redo the sidewalk on Union Square
Yeah.
because it had been allowed at that time.
Yeah.
The curb was all the way up to the road. So anytime that I can strip that street, I can do that sidewalk along with it, curb and sidewalk. So, but our first two rounds in our defense, we could not do that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's because we talked about that.
How many rounds did we do with street paving?
Three.
Three.
3 rounds.
So that's it,
I mean,
guys. That's what
So
I'm,
we need to,
I'm here to ask you to consider putting a program together next year for next year's budgeting, which is due next month.
Well, it
To
won't
start a
be-
sidewalk
It won't be
program.
approved until,
And I would start with a sidewalk replacement program before you start with the new, because I don't even wanna argue with any of the townspeople about somebody that doesn't have a sidewalk that is required. But, you know, there'll be another day for that argument, but.
So as a town, are we responsible to plow our own sidewalks in? And salt them, so if somebody falls on one of our sidewalks? So in
Yes,
other
you
words,
are.
we gotta plow our own sidewalks, John.
Yes, you are.
Or hire some more help.
I mean, I know you want me to say no, but yes, the answer is
Okay.
yes.
I've never, cause I know at one time they was giving tickets out from your sidewalk not being scooped. Not
They do it-
Waynetown, but
They do it in
Crawfordsville do.
Crawfordsville right now. I have apartments in Crawfordsville that I have to have maintained, yes, for the mail service.
okay, so I understand the thing about, but then my other question is, we know that as a property owner, I own up to the middle of 136, right? Where my house is, don't you own that halfway to the road, or? am I
No, you don't own
mistaken?
the right of way.
So well, right of way is not an ownership. That means they just have the right to come through there.
What's in the right of way belongs to the municipality. You own
So
the
you're saying,
sidewalks.
okay, so you're saying
The public right of way is a pedestrian right of way that's owned by the public. It's owned by, in this case, our local municipality, Waynetown. Our sidewalks are owned by Waynetown.
between the sidewalk and your house is your property.
If you did a sidewalk and a pedestrian street crossing there to go to Dollar General, then that sidewalk and that pedestrian street crossing would be owned by the county.
Mhm.
So, but you still have to comply with the same rules, because the same accessibility laws, which is pedestrian right-of-way accessibility guidelines, apply to both right-of-ways in the same manner. The only thing that's different in this case is, well, it's not different, but like, for instance, for the ramp in the ice cream shop, you're gonna have to build a level ramp, or I'm sorry, a ramp, a landing. The landing up top will have to be a finished, level finished floor, the same as the finished floor of the business inside. And that'll be a 5x5, positioned at the back hinge side of the door, extending 18 inches beyond the latch end of the door. And then it'll ramp 1 on 12 down, and ProAg requires, so right-of-way requires a 4-foot minimum clear path, so it's 4 feet between rails. That's gonna have to be on both sides if we have a ramp that's over 6 feet in length. And I think that you will, because the vertical rise was at least 12 inches, maybe more.
David, would it make sense to have the ramp incorporate both the laundry and the scoop?
It absolutely would, but I noticed that there's a difference in height.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe it's 2 ramps now at that point. But yes, many cases, like for Hillsborough, that's gonna be the fix for them, a double sidewalk is essentially what you do to fix that. You do a sidewalk that's 4 feet wide up top that matches your finished floor of all your businesses. That's what we need here. And then a 4-foot sidewalk over here that's just flat and level, and it goes to the crosswalks. So this sidewalk is gonna be mandated a certain height based by your highway safety standard codes of being a certain 6 or 8 inches higher than your road surface. And then, and that 6 or 8 inches is important because it's a challenge if it's over 6 when we get to the curb ramp issues, right? Because we've got to have top and bottom landings even at the curb ramps. So this higher sidewalk, it could have as many as 2 risers, 2 steps, but no more, and that without railings everywhere. And you don't want to do that. You can't put railings there because we're next to the highway. So yeah, so you ramp the upper ends and you rail against the building where you can. And so that's what we do in existing conditions to streetscapes to make, make them accessible the best way we can. And then if we're dealing with a road, which we don't have that, the issue of chasing grade down a hill, you chase it for 15 feet and then it's allowed to be whatever it's allowed to be, which doesn't make sense, but you have these scenarios in certain parts of the world, and that's how they do that. That's what happens. That's the interpretation of the code. 15 feet is all you do. Chase grade.
So I need to ask Eases, when you did all of your remodeling and stuff, did you have to get a permit from the county or no?
We came to you guys.
Right,
You guys said
You
no.
said we didn't have to get any permission.
for the sidewalk.
Right.
Yeah, you didn't have to get a permit from us.
And you don't have to get a permit from the county for other stuff, as long as you're not doing over a certain amount of stuff.
Yeah, there's a level there that you can get by
I
with.
think they brought them in for the mustard seed, they told them unless they were changing like over 100 linear feet of wall space, that's a lot, that they didn't have to have any kind of permit.
As far as for permits to do the work, okay.
Yeah. And I mean, we put in one little wall in Scoops.
Yeah.
And everything else we've done is minor remodeling.
Okay, well, that clarifies that from my mind.
And I'm not trying to be a part of every project, but I am your ADA consultant, and your ADA transition plan tells you guys to discourage any new business from coming into town that's not accessible, and we go and we help them. I've got a booklet and a pamphlet for small businesses to know basic accessibility. Basically would tell the Eases that, hey, if you've got somebody that's blind that comes in, your employee needs to read the menu to them, you know? If they're deaf, you can write a note. That's acceptable form of effective communication. There are things that we should be doing as a town, and I'm happy to still do pro bono as your consultant, because this is what I'm doing. I mean, guys, you gotta understand, this is what I do, and it's embarrassing for me in my own town that I can't help, even working for free, that I can't help these businesses be more accessible. And I
Now,
can't be the only one.
we have taken your advice on some things, like some of the upgrades at the park and stuff.
Well, I can't be the only
It's
one
not
that can't
like-
get in there, though. I mean, you guys have to know people. Your mom.
Well, but my mom can't get an ice cream shop, so when we
That's what I'm
build
saying.
this ramp, do they have to put a bigger door in so she could ride a mule in to get ice cream?
No,
Wheelchair.
no, it's inside. It's a 36-inch door. So what she can do is ride a hover round. And so the ADA makes sure that the guidelines are so that she can use her hover
Like she
round.
always does.
Yeah, I mean,
she
she gets great service from them. I mean, she calls the Pizza King, or she pulls out front and the girls come out. I mean, she gets great service, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I was under the impression that the homeowners own the sidewalks,
That's
because,
because we've been told that.
Yeah.
We've been told that since 2015 when I've been begging for sidewalks.
No, before that, that's what we were always.
Yeah.
93, when I bought my house, I was told that.
Sure, everybody has.
Because,
Yeah, we would have never pursued putting in a sidewalk if we didn't know we didn't
Yeah.
own it. And we had an opportunity because we saw somebody in our church had put one in as part of a mission project, and we thought, oh my gosh, maybe they'll do that for us, at least here. And so it kind of went from there, but we did ask permission, and we were told.
We asked, we were told we didn't need anything, but the bottom line is that whole building, don't say the Eases, that whole building is owned by a 501c3, be the church. So with all that, and that's the reason the church helped us with it,
Yeah.
was because it was a project for the 501c3.
I appreciate all the improvements you guys are trying to do in town. It's obvious you're trying to improve the town and make it a better place to live, and it's doing that for me and my family. So please, I hope you don't think this is personal.
No, and we never thought it was,
It's not.
accessible to anybody else either, David. I mean, that's the honest truth. We have to see these elderly people, and how can you ever walk on the sidewalks or?
But what we've looked at is, how can we afford it?
Totally understand.
And it's like,
Yeah.
you know, we can spend, you know, a few $1,000s getting an ice cream shop in, more than a few, but anyway.
Yeah.
But we can't spend another few $1,000s, put a ramp in the side door, it just, I mean,
Totally
it doesn't make sense business-wise.
Right. We could get the other door though, for the restaurant, for the back of the Pizza King. We could do that in the same ramp.
Well, what I was gonna say was you would have to go that way. You would have to
Yeah,
go-
you wanna chase grade.
You would have to go from Scoops to the back door of the Pizza King, and then you go
Yes.
down that way, and then you want to, and then for the laundry, you go the other way. Otherwise, the ramp for the scoops would be about 6 inches when it went by the laundry door.
Right. Well, and that's the thing, if we can keep the ramp less than 6 feet, railing's not required. So, but that's only a 6-inch rise.
Yeah.
So what we do sometimes is we play with that, we're allowed to go a 5% run without railing, and that's an acceptable route, we can do that for hundreds of feet, yards, whatever, forever. But then once you hit above 5% to 8.33, it's considered a ramp. And that's when railings are required at both sides, and then top and bottom landings. Although in this case, because the road is next to the ramp, you're not allowed to put the railings in because it would be considered a hazard for a car to crash. It wouldn't be crash worthy. So in that instance, if railing is needed, we put it on the building side, on the ramp portion only. But there again, if we can manipulate the grades, we chase this down far enough, and we're only doing a 6-inch rise, railings aren't required at all.
Bob, there's an organization called Servants at Work. Their acronym is SAW, SAW, and it's a group of Christian folks that get together and build ramps. I don't know what the qualifications are.
Is that the one here or the one, are they based out of Michigan?
Nationwide, isn't
I
it?
think it's nationwide.
I think I've read
But
an
we
article in the Journal
participated in
Review
one of
about
those,
them.
Building a ramp, over on the east side of Crawfordsville. But they might, if you could get on their list, it might be worth doing it, and they might be willing to take
Right.
that project on.
Right, that would be one way we'd have to see if there's anybody that would help us, like that kind of group.
Well,
I was
they
thinking
look
about
for
those people a while ago.
volunteers.
I've
And
worked with-
they pre-build it, yeah, they pre-build it and then bring everything, it's all
Right.
compliant, I'm assuming.
I've
'Cause I
worked
know
with
the-
SAWS in Indiana, the Indianapolis chapter, and out of Greencastle for the last dozen, maybe 20 years now. CAP actually, Community Action, I'm doing all their ramps as well, which they've done a program where they're helping lower income folks
Right.
that need them.
Right, and I think that's what SALT does usually,
Yeah,
is lower
it
income
is.
folks.
It is.
Yeah.
But since we all just got a better education and all of us were pretty ignorant about all this stuff, maybe we could rely on other people's ignorance and go in with the fact that we're a 501c3 to get somebody to grant money to do it. Honestly, even though it's the towns, but there may be money out there available for something like that.
As long as we control the design, that's the
Right,
thing. We
right.
just need to make sure that we're not adding insult to injury. Whatever we do, we wanna try to make it correct.
Well, and I think they come out and do a whole assessment, and like I said, they pre-build, so they already know how big the 4-foot sections need to be and all
This
of
one, I
that.
would think this would be concrete. You pour concrete over the top.
Well, I mean, concrete is what should be done out of, it's gonna be more expensive, and that's not something, the saws don't,
Right.
my experience with saws is we didn't do commercial
Right.
commercial stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, out of deck, yes, I mean, but yeah, I mean, if we're, concrete is really the appropriate fix, but it can be done out of boardwalk as well. 3 surface types comply: boardwalk, asphalt, or concrete, so it could be asphalt as well. That's the three surface types it can be constructed out of. But if we did use boardwalk, 1/2-inch gaps max is what's allowed, so we'd wanna tighten them boards up, so that when they did dry out, we don't have gaps that's greater than a 1/2 inch, cause then we'll have a woman come up there in high heels in the summertime and step through, and she'll break her leg, and the attorney will be like, well, guess what? So, yes, sir.
Question. You put a ramp there, is it basically gonna be the whole length of that entire building?
We'll have to step it down, you step on the other side, so at the end of the ramp, there'll be steps for someone that just wants to walk straight into to the door. So it'll be a ramp at one side, hugging the building, a couple steps down.
But then the rest of the sidewalk is not wide enough.
Well, no, it's gotta be 4 feet.
But you couldn't have it wide enough for you,
So what's the width?
and the passing by that.
What's the width?
You guys
6 feet.
remember?
Oh, it's wider than that.
Well,
It's 10 feet wide, isn't it?
No, it's not that
It's
wide.
6
Maybe
feet,
like
6 or 7
I
feet.
was
Might be
thinking it was 8.
at most.
So,
It'd be close. I was concerned
Okay,
about
so-
that too, and you were talking about needing 4 feet. and
So
4
if it's 8, well, we need 5 for the landing, we need 5 feet from the front face of your, well, yeah, you do. Well, hold on. No, there are ways to manipulate. I always use 5 by 5 because it's the easiest. It works for every single scenario. But as you're approaching a door and we're swinging in, right? Because occupancy would require you to swing out. So as we swing in, if I'm approaching the latch end of the door, 48, I think, is okay. And then we could have a couple of steps right there. And then we stop. And then you have a different ramp for the other one. So again, it's all a design, guys. And then so we use and we look at the codes that we're given and we come up with what we think is, my favorite term is the path of least resistance.
Any other questions for David? This is something we'll need to consider and act on.
We need to act on it.
David, do you have any comments right now? You may not.
Dave Peebles, town attorney. The Americans with Disability Act applies to the town. Town's adopted an ADA transition plan. The specs are the specs, so we're not gonna spec it out here and tonight, so it's just a case of the council working with pro bono consultant to say, okay, what are the specs and just what does it cost? And you can get by, I mean, you can do it in phases, and I don't know David knows the transition plan, but you can budget it all, and ain't gonna be cheap, but there are a bunch of, everything David said is true. There are a bunch of cases out there. We can have ordinances that make, local ordinances that make individuals responsible for taking care of their own sidewalks. We can make assessments maybe that you're responsible for improvements to sidewalk. But this is federal law. It applies all over the nation. So the federal law just overrides. Federal law says, hey, town, this is a public right of way. You're responsible. Private citizen may own the land underneath it. Like Bob, you may own the land underneath the highway, but right of way easement overrides. And if they pull up the highway, the land goes back to you. But same thing with the sidewalks. Those sidewalks are public ways, public conveniences, and going back, like David said, going back to 1991, the ADA is one of the most, I don't want to put your thing, but it is a very, very sweeping civil rights law. And it applies to everybody, so. And it doesn't apply poor town, rich town, Carmel, it doesn't matter. Everybody's got the same specs, same everything. So just gives us, I guess, getting down and budgeting and figuring out what are the specs, how do we do it right? Because you can't cut corners, or somebody like David Mills will show up again and say, hey, you guys cut corners, I told you not to.
I want to apologize for not recognizing David Peebles.
No, like I wouldn't want to interrupt you. So anyway, I don't know if you want to do we want to be conscious of the open door and all that. I don't know if you want to do a committee or just basically have John and do good work, and hey, come up with some plans, because you'll need that going into the budget season. What are we looking at?
We're friends. We're all friends here.
So what do you do? How can we do this? What's the lowest hanging fruit? What's the most egregious examples? Tackle those.
Priorities for sidewalks is suggested by the federal government. I mean, it starts really connecting you start with your mail, your grocery stores, your town hall, your park. The main things that people in the store, the main places of commerce, and the fire department. So these are gonna be your priority ones.
So essentially downtown.
Pardon?
So essentially downtown.
Essentially your downtown.
In the park.
And the park. Yeah. And so yeah, that's it. And then your public services, which is this and the fire department and post office. Right.
Yeah. Any other questions for David? We can move on, I think.
Yeah.
He's opened our eyes.
Thank you all for listening.
Yes, thank you.
I'm sorry I went on so long.
So we need to thank the Eads for not building a ramp, because that got this started. That's what I'm hearing.
Just thanks for listening to me and considering this, guys.
Well, you're the expert.
And I'm here to help.
You are the expert.
I'm here to help. I'm here to help with any projects that you want. If you guys build anything, please call me, because I don't, again, I'm never going to be the ADA police, nor should I ever have to be, right? I mean, I'm trying to do my part, and I'm still raising kids. I'm trying to police them. So you don't have to. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Thanks, David. You're leaving us?
Yeah, mine is at home. I haven't seen
Okay.
her in 4 days.
All right, take care.
I gotta work too.
Kyle, do you have anything else for ordinance violations? That's next on the agenda
Yeah,
here.
I mean, there were several sent out, a lot of them complied, a lot of them contacted me, we.
Working out deals?
Yeah, I mean, there was
Okay.
one that was trying to get a title, he got the title, so now he's working on getting the plates, they are operable, they just don't have plates. So,
Okay, all righty. Yeah, at one time, what did you do, send out 13 letters or something? 25 letters, okay. All right, hey, we made it, Haley, the Aquatic Center and Park. Update on the Glow Float Party, Mr. Boosie is here, so maybe we ought to ask him. No, what do you got? Go ahead, Haley, come on up.
I'm Haley Berninger. Do you want my address or the address of the Aquatic
No,
Center?
just say manager of the Aquatic
Okay.
Center.
I'm manager at the Aquatic Center. I spoke to Cheyenne Bussey yesterday. We are going to do the float party July 18th. We're not charging a fee or anything. If people would like to bring donations like floats and stuff like that for the pool itself, that would be awesome, but we're not charging anything. It would just be
When you say floats, what do you mean? The
pool
light up
toys.
floats?
No, like stuff that the kids use every single day.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I have people donate that stuff quite a bit, so.
And the time for that party will be, have you thought?
6:30 to 10:30.
6:30 to
But
10:30.
I had asked previously if we could close the aquatic center at 5. Cheyenne and I thought that 30 minutes would not be near enough time to set anything up for an event as big as this. So I still would like to close the aquatic center at 5, so I have that time to prepare.
Can we have a motion to give her permission to close at
I
5
make a motion that she could close the pool at 5 o'clock
on 7/18?
on 7/18
Do I have-
2025.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
4-0. Okay, discuss amount to be, yeah, the big deal here.
Okay. So this has, since I have been there, not been an issue, but the pop-up storms this year have been pretty ridiculous. One minute we have lightning, the next it's gone. It just dissipates and goes away. So this past Sunday, so July 6th, there were 2 parties. One scheduled from 3:30 to 5:30 and one 6 to 8. We knew that there were going to be storms popping up that day. Both parties were contacted at approximately 12 p.m. to see what they wanted to do. Do you still want to try to have your party? Do you just want to use the community room? Is there something you would like to do? And they said, no, we're going to go for it. We're going to see what we can do. Okay. Now, I understand that on our flyer, it says that a private pool party includes community room for free, does not include splash pad. If you have a pool party booked and the pool is closed due to weather, you can use the community room and the fee will be $25 per hour. It doesn't say if the pool closes halfway in between your party, like that. In the past, we have had to close the whole facility because it just stormed all day long. It hasn't been that way this year. It has been so unpredictable that it's hit or miss. And as it happened Sunday, so the first party was 3:30 to 5:30. Everybody gets there 30 minutes prior to their party so they can set up the room however they want. Now, Usually, if it's a birthday party, they will ask me after about 45 minutes in the water, hey, can you blow your whistle so we can come do cake and ice cream, sing happy birthday, whatever. Absolutely. So I spoke to Sam because I was not at work Sunday. From 4:15 to 4:30, they were in the community room. And then at 4:40, they had to get out of the pool due to weather. So they got, how many minutes there? Not very many. 55. Sam called me at 5 to say, hey, I got everyone out of the pool. They're sitting in the community room waiting to see if this storm disappears so we can wait the 30 minutes and they can get back in. Okay, they already paid their $175 fee, and I told him, why don't you go ahead and refund that $175 and then have them pay for half of a pool party due to weather, which has never been anything that I have had in Square before. So at the beginning of this year, I was asked to put it in there, and I did. So I just charged them, I told him to charge them for half of a pool party because that's pretty much what they had. And they were in the community room awaiting the weather to clear. The second party, it was not a birthday party at all. It was a 4-H group. Actually, it was like 3 of them that came together. The 4-H leaders had a Capri Sun and a bag of chips for every 4-H'er that walked in the door, and they sat and ate their chips, drank their Capri Sun while their books were checked for 4-H. So they were completely done in that room by 6:15, and then they were like, hey, go swim for an hour and 45 minutes. At 6:53, they had to get out of the pool, and they went into the community room to wait because, well, for safety reasons as well, and protocol, that's where we make everybody go. They did get back in at 7:45, and they were able to swim for 15 minutes. So I told Sam when he called me at 5, I said, don't even charge the next party because we don't know what's going to happen. Do not charge them until the end of their party because we don't know what's going to happen. And he told them that when they got there. So at 8:10, he called me and told me, hey, I just charged them for half. This is what happened. Okay. So I guess the problem is not charging them $25 to sit and wait out a lightning warning.
So I'm gonna speak up to this because the bags were dropped at the bank, we go and get the bags, and then we are to, account for the money. So, and this is all because of State Board of Accounts, because if somebody isn't doing their job correctly, if I make a mistake or something, I have to pay the money out of my pocket. So this needs to be addressed. And the way the flyer reads is that if the pool is closed due to weather, you'll be charged $25 for the community room. And neither party was charged for the community room. There is a little place on here that you can write a little comment, and it says 3:30 to 5:30 party paid, then due to weather was refunded, charged for weather, half party. But when all I can see, and the council has this as well, is when the pool party was rang in, when it was refunded, and when it was re-rang again, and then when the last one was. So it is here in black and white that those people were at both pool parties for at least 2 hours each. So that is what, whether they were in the room or in the pool, this is where the problem is, and we just need to get it figured out.
Technically, during the day, we don't necessarily close the pool if lightning strikes. We have everyone get out of the water and we wait it out. So that's, I made the call 100%. They were waiting out the weather to see if they could get back in, and I didn't feel it was necessary to charge them that extra $25. I mean, they already lost half their pool party. Why do more damage?
And so we refunded half.
So the second time, they were not even charged until 8.
So then what did you charge them at 8 o'clock? Then half the party?
Half a party because they waited.
I like that.
Mhm.
So if we change the brochure, we change our procedure.
But why would we need to change that if we're not technically closing the pool?
You're not letting them in the pool, so it's technically closed, isn't it?
No, there can
No.
still be on the ground.
It's a weather protocol. They have to just be in a safe place until the weather goes away.
I understand exactly what she's saying. All I need to do is to make sure that the town is collecting what the fees are that you guys have approved. However you do it, I don't really care. But State Board of Accounts, when they come in and they look at this flyer, and believe you me, they go through the books and they go through the pool books, and they have done it every year, and they see this rang up this way, and they know how much they're supposed to be charged, and they start questioning it, I have to tell them what happened. So that's why I just want it all,
So it does say they get the community room for free.
when you reserve, it says $175 includes sales tax, and a 2-hour party for up to 75 people. $100 for the first hour and 75 for each additional hour. Okay, so they booked a 2-hour pool party, but they were only charged for a 1-hour party, but they were in the facility for 2 hours, be it in a room or in a pool or wherever they were.
But they couldn't get in the water because of the weather.
Correct.
So, I mean,
Which
that's
is,
why,
they couldn't be in the water.
So we did our
Never want that.
protocol, which needs to be
I know.
written on the balance sheet. Like, this is why they were here for 2 hours, but they were not able to do.
Oh, a note.
One
Yeah.
party was written on there, the other one was not. So but anyway, and I don't care what you guys end up with, we're paying our staff to be there for the entire time, and we're charging for 1 hour. And it just needs to be simplified,
What are you frowning about there?
and I totally understand what happened,
Are you
and
confused?
I don't actually blame Haley one bit for what she did.
Yeah.
But it just has to be, you can't just I can't change anybody and say, oh, I like you, or I don't like you, or it rained, so I'm not gonna charge you as much on your utility bill. I don't have that authority. It's by ordinance what we charge. You guys have approved what we're charging here, so we need to get it figured out.
But to me, it didn't make sense.
To
So,
me, you called them,
Mhm.
they were, given the option,
Mhm.
took it, so they should be charged.
okay.
That's my opinion.
Well, see, I think when somebody rents the pool to have a pool party, they're expecting people to be in the pool for 2 hours. They were only able to be in the pool for an hour.
But they had the option to cancel their party. What?
Yeah, they could have, but
They took a chance on it.
If they decided not to have it in the pool, but in the community room, they would have been charged for the community room.
$25
But,
per hour for 2 hours.
I mean, literally both of them happened halfway in between their parties, so
Never happened
that's
before.
a gray area, and it hasn't happened before. So do you charge them for half of a party? And not knowing when storms could happen, I always charge people at the beginning of their party, but I made the call to give them a refund because I didn't think it was fair.
Okay. Barry, where were you going with that?
well, no, I mean, I think you did the right thing. I mean, they only actually got in the water for half the amount of time. Yes, they had a chance to cancel it, but they decided not, to go ahead. We made money because they were using our pool for an hour, so we got an hour's worth of money because that's all they actually used the pool. Yes,
Even though
they may
were
have been
for
there.
2 hours.
They may have been there, but they only got to use pool.
Yeah.
So why don't you have a separate charge for the pool and a separate charge for the community room, and then you just charge them that way? If they got an hour of pool, then it was $100.
What's the wheel here? What's the wheel pleasure here?
And that's exactly what that's exactly what I told Haley. They should have been charged $125 is
Because, you
what
know,
I
they had a
thought,
chance. to
based on the way
cancel
this
or
was
take a
written.
chance.
Based on that, but based
still,
on them just
Barry
waiting
said
out a
they
storm
only used it
in there,
for an hour.
it's not like they were in there partying it up, They were literally in there waiting.
Should be prepared to do that.
That's
So in
what
other words,
Catherine
you have-
needs.
If you have to move the party to that room, then there should be games or things for them to do.
Yeah, let us
I
discuss
have
it.
those
Let us
things.
discuss it.
Yeah, sorry.
There you go, Barry. I know, well, I can see both sides of this.
Yeah, I mean, it's not,
And again, it is State Board of Accounts.
That's-
So do you think State Board of Accounts would say we should have charged them 25 bucks?
Yes, I do. I 100% believe that. That's why I wouldn't have even put it on here. I wouldn't have, because that's the way it's written. It says if you, if the pool is closed because of weather, the community room will be $25 an hour. So we just need to reword it. I agree with Haley. I agree with what she did, but it's gotta be spelled out. How we're gonna word it, I don't really know if that's what
okay,
you
so
wanna do.
I'd say in the future, charge them for a half party and then $25 for the community room, I guess. I don't think that's right, but
Well, then, if you don't think it's right, then we can change this.
But I mean, you're still paying the full staff to be there for the whole 2 hours
Yes.
also.
but the $100 for the more than pays for the staff. I mean, at some point, we gotta do what's right for the people.
An idea, Dave feels kind of an idea, like what, to cover what happened, be a vote with the council authorizing everything Billy did. Look, schedule. Or what do you want to do next month? No. Should want more be able to do a modified fee schedule for next month.
I'll move that we accept what Haley did.
I second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
5-0, so that'll help you, right?
Okay, that's
Now, in the
perfect.
future, can we just say we'll leave it up to the discretion of the manager?
No.
Board of Accounts will have a connection to that.
That's what they-
Sounds
So
like it'd be an
who,
easy
who
fix.
am I supposed to contact? Like, do I
Well,
call you?
Doug's your liaison.
Doug can't make that decision either.
I
Okay,
work for the
I'll make
town.
I'll make a decision that, or I'll make a motion that if a party gets canceled halfway through, we just charge them for 1 hour. Give them the community room.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yep,
Thank you.
I second it.
all right. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So that should cover us in the future.
4-0. Okay, yeah, all I wanted it was it covered because
That
Thank you.
fee already covers we say they can have it free, but, right?
I mean, that's how it's worded.
it comes free with the party, but then since I didn't pay for the party,
I understand.
it's just all
It's a
technical
gray
stuff.
area, but it's one that we have to visit
And if
when we come to
if
it.
you've sat in the building with the State Board of Accounts for 3 weeks straight, believe you me, they are very detailed. Pick, 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 pick. And they're expensive by the hour.
Yeah, they charge us for the audit.
Yes.
What else you
No.
got, anything?
No.
That's it?
Yeah. I mean, I could stand up here and talk.
Well, I know, I will just make mention that it was on Facebook, that, our 2 senior lifeguards, they got engaged recently.
Mhm.
And it's all about an aquatic center. That's where they met each other. That's where they worked together. It's a love story at our pool.
It is.
Is that where the wedding's gonna be?
Oh,
Wouldn't surprise me.
that'd be cool. Okay. Thank you, Haley.
Thank
Keep
you,
doing the good
guys.
work. Okay, we can, next thing is resurfacing the basketball court. That's been signed, that's been ordered. We agreed on that last time. He's gonna paint a pickleball court in there. Ryan Upnall told me today, did you contact him, Barry? He told me today he thinks he's starting on it. Did you get, he said you'd have the paperwork today.
When
I
I
haven't
look,
looked, okay, that's all right. He said he would get the documents to us and that he possibly could be starting tomorrow or the next day.
Good luck with all the rain.
Yeah, I know, of course now it's gonna rain. I don't remember in that agreement, did he say how long it would take, normal conditions? I don't think it did it?
I think no, but I think he told me when we walked the court the first time, I think he said, weather permitting, he thought it 1 to 2 weeks.
Okay.
Because you gotta put it on, then you gotta let
Gotta let it
some of it dry, and then you can put, but
Hopefully the
yeah,
kids don't get
it's a
on it.
fairly quick turnaround.
The, just for your information, we agreed last week it will be all red, gladiator red, with, white lines for the pickleball court. And then I think he's gonna make the, what do you say, the lane, the basketball lanes, cause he'll, gray, I think. I told him, boy, that's getting close to Southmont, that's scary, but anyway, so it's really it's gonna look brand new when he's done. The work that I saw that he did for Thorntown, and ours is nothing compared to how bad theirs was. It's a big deal. Now, John needs to order a couple of basketball rims, which that's just a matter of getting them in, because those are worn out, so. And then I will let you know that, I've got an agreement, it's called the Fan Experience, I think, with the NCAA. I had a conference call with them today on my phone, and they're coming here at the Friday night of the fish fry, and they've got a whole thing that they set up. It's games, it's really a family thing, and it's all free. They're gonna be giving away some tickets. And it's all in conjunction with the NCAA, because this year, Indianapolis is hosting the NIT championship, the Division I, Division II, and Division III championships. So this is all about getting excitement for these things. So I'll report it tomorrow too. So it's what they do. They'll come into town, get here. I think they're gonna go to Sommer in the morning. Then they'll move their little booth and their show. Freebies, T-shirts, free tickets to the fan experience in Indianapolis. So no cost, and they will provide us with a certificate of insurance, so we don't have to worry about that. So it'll be kind of a cool, different thing, and it's gonna be set up on the basketball court, but it's only Friday night. So for the kids that go to the football games, they probably won't get to enjoy it. Council old business, update on live streaming. Well, the update, we're living it right now. This says donation to radio, that changed a little bit just because of how we need to pay it. So, I need to get your permission to pay, Mr. Foxworthy, Matt Foxworthy, $50 an hour. And he turned in an invoice to us today for $250. That's dirt cheap, guys. We couldn't do any better. So,
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Did you have something else you wanted to say?
No.
About that, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And were you and I, Randy? I didn't hear you. Okay, 4-0. All right, and I'm not even sure, I didn't add up what our equipment was. I didn't see that. Do you remember a ballpark figure? Of course, the state mandated us to do it, but
Yes.
didn't give us any funds to do it.
About 2,200.
Okay. All right, so next, Randy, Sandy, and John are working on a water and electric reconnect fees. Had any success on that yet?
Well, Hillsborough was $50 to reconnect, and 4 times late in a 12-month period, they get another $100 sewer deposit. Kingman, correct me, Jay, is $75 to reconnect. No time frame. If you're not down there, they don't get it turned on till the next day. Linden's $100, no time frame. Newmark 75, and Wingate 75.
And we're presently 25.
At 25. And John and them, Sandy, they shut it off, and Sandy called them, they gotta go right back to on. Well, that's gonna have to stop, cause if they're doing something else, then they can wait.
Okay.
That's my opinion on it.
So does the committee have a suggestion what to take it to?
No, because there's a lot of rates, and we need to sit down and
Okay.
figure out exactly what rates on everything.
All right.
Before, not just.
And Linden's strictly water, cause they get their bills, electric is
Right.
Chipmont.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks for that information. It's good to know. John, Peerless Punt test results. You still haven't got the results?
I have the results, I don't have a quote for the repairs. I'm talking with Troy. He's got 3 towns, but he's still waiting on them, and we were all done at the same time, so.
Okay. All right, so we're still waiting on the quote.
Still waiting on quotes, but I can tell you it's not gonna be cheap.
Nothing, Steve.
And Phil Purtle, Fire Department, you're on here. Have you had a chance to get any of that Sandy needs?
Yeah, I got a question here on that, and I've checked into this a little bit. I was on vacation last week and all, but anyhow, I did go ahead and I got a couple emails from Sandy about it, and I guess I'm a little surprised that this is already on the agenda when we're over a month away yet still on this. But I went to the insurance agency yesterday because we both had the same agency, different agents, but same agency. So I went to the insurance agency yesterday and had a discussion with both Mike and our agent on what the fire department needs to do and everything. And the fire department does have event insurance.
Good.
And Cindy is a member of the fire department. She has her alcohol license, so therefore it will be covered under the fire department's insurance. But Cindy's also going to provide her certificate of insurance as well, so you'll have both. And we'll be filing for a event permit.
Right.
To the state.
To this day, okay.
For the event, which we have to do 30 days ahead of time. But I guess my question here, and what's a little bit aggravating with this, is I don't feel that the board is treating everybody fairly on this. And unless they're different, and correct me, but I was told at the insurance office that there's another group that has 4 events going on in town here, the Freedom Festival, Oktoberfest, Thursday at the Fish Fry, and Christmas in the Park, and they don't have insurance. Is that correct?
I thought we did. We'll have to ask Phil. Steve.
WCI has no insurance.
Okay.
Okay, so, and with this, it got, and the reason I wanted, like when you asked us last time and I wanted to get with our insurance company was because of the fireworks. And when we make application for our insurance, we have the fireworks listed as an event on there. So they've been asking this past time, they wanted to see a copy of, the certificate of liability insurance and then actually from the Foreman Blasters.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and then.
The state requires them to have the liability insurance, a certain amount, that's all, because I have to approve that on his permit.
Right, you have to sign off on the permit.
Yeah.
Okay, so then they've been asking me for it, and then it was through his insurance, something was wrong. Anyway, he sent it to me, and then it was wrong, then he had to go back and get the right one. So when I sent it to him, then they were asking for, it got into where they were wanting a copy of the contract, and I said, the town isn't paying for the fireworks. WCI is paying for the fireworks. And then they said, well, we're not gonna cover you at all then, and I'm like, no. So finally, I had to get Mike on the phone, and we had to have this conversation. And he said that the town is covered. If anything happened with the fireworks, it would be on a certificate of liability insurance, but the town is still covered for the fireworks themselves. So all these other festivals, like if WCI is putting on, or whoever's putting on, if they don't have insurance, then they can just get sued. But the town is still gonna have insurance.
Right, the town has event insurance, it's just like automatic.
Right.
The fire department.
But what they're saying is, go ahead.
Right, and that's what Mike had explained also, because it's basically the same type of coverage. You guys have your liability insurance, and then if a function goes on that you're involved
On our
with,
property.
you have event insurance that covers the town.
Yeah.
Because we have listed it on there.
Right.
So but the thing is, I didn't know what would happen because of the alcohol. Because they're, with the Freedom Festival, we have to put in there that not Freedom Festival, excuse me, the Oktoberfest, that we had to put it when we, applied that we were hiring like the Wingate Bar to actually do and serve everything. I was trying to get as much information as I could from you before I went to the insurance company, so I'm not going in this circle again like I did with fireworks.
Well, that's the reason why I just went down there yesterday, because I knew we both had the same agency. So instead of going in that circle, that's why I just went down there and I talked to our agent and said, get Mike in here, let's discuss this, so I know today, so I can go to Sandy and tell her, here's what we got. So it's not a problem that.
So the WCI events are covered by the town.
No.
Insurance if a problem happens at the park.
Okay, during the fireworks, if something had happened during the fireworks where a firework hit somebody, Foreman Blasters insurance is gonna cover that. The town, anything else that happened at that park that wasn't part of a firework per se situation, the town's insurance is gonna cover it. So anything that happens at the Freedom Fest is basically, the town has insurance for that, but they can actually sue the Freedom Fest. And then because Freedom Fest people, or WCI, whoever you wanna call yourselves, or whatever given day and time, if you don't have insurance, they can actually sue you personally.
Each individual person that's involved with that committee can be sued.
Yes, that's exactly what Mike told me.
That's why I have liability insurance. I
What
don't
about-
wanna test that.
What about the carnivals? Do they have their own insurance?
Yeah, they got their own.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
They
I
have to
guess,
prove it.
you know, WCI needs insurance, I guess, I don't know.
Something, some liability or something.
Unless they're independently wealthy.
And we're not.
So there's like, anybody that's on the board of WCI, you guys can be sued personally, but you know what? Anybody can sue you personally anyway, whether you're on that board or not. Am I right, David?
You can always be sued, yeah.
You may not
How you
win.
get out of writing a check is the important part.
But I guess that's my thing on this here, if that's the case, then the fire department really don't have to show you proof of insurance, we just gotta show you a liquor license. And permit. And it's our risk whether or not we're gonna take to be sued if something happens.
Okay, so what are you gonna get me?
I'm gonna get you 2 certificates of insurance, a copy of the license and a copy of the permit.
Perfect.
Before we move in.
Perfect, works for me.
David, should we get something from WCI? It sounds like we should.
Basic starting rule is everybody should have insurance every which way. But then the town, all the stuff that goes on a given day in a municipality, that's what the town pays the mega premium for. Bucket trucks and police cars and all that stuff. So town, as long as, that's what Sandy does, is check, hey, we're gonna have alcohol here, is that okay under our policy? Or we're gonna have fireworks, or we're gonna have bouncy house, or something like that. But the normal stuff, that's kind of, that's on those guys.
That's their risk.
That's their risk. We're covered.
I mean, like, what's that, let's say Oktoberfest. The Oktoberfest is listed on our insurance, and, you know, I don't know, when you say it's Oktoberfest, it's a town, it's not like it's WCI's Oktoberfest, like it's the merchant's fish fry, so I don't know how you really wanna call it or say it.
Well, the WCI has got the assets for it.
Whoever's got the biggest insurance policies, the biggest liability policy is who they're gonna go after. That's what matters, honestly. If the town has $10 million worth of insurance and these others all have $1 million, they're gonna go after the town because that's where the 10 million is.
They're gonna list everybody. They're gonna list everybody.
Yeah, that's like, if Foreman, if there's a lot of people injured, Foreman's insurance may run out and then.
Then they would be contacting us.
Yeah.
Well, that's why it's important also that anytime you guys have something on, that you make sure there is a difference between listed as an additional insured and listed as a named additional insured.
Oh.
There's a difference between those. You wanna be a named additional insured.
On your policy.
Yes. And sometimes like my insurance, they don't, but some insurances may charge $5 or $6 to throw that on there to do it.
Yeah, like with Foreman Blasters, that was a problem. The town wasn't, the Freedom Festival was named as additional insured, but the town of Waynetown wasn't, and I went back to, what's his name? Darren, I said, he goes, I'll get it fixed, and so he had to send me a new one, so.
Okay. All right, well, we got some WCI board members here. We'll have to bring that up. Thanks for doing that. All right, HWC engine fees, okay, we gotta pay them the final 1,500. So, and we got the invoice and the bill in, so we just need to prove that, and then that's the last time we pay HWC
I move that we
feasibility
pay
study.
them the final 1,500.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The AIM Ideas Summit is coming up. That's the annual Association of Indiana Municipalities convention. This year it is at French Lick. It's 10/21 to 10/23. We are a member of AIM, but we would have to pay for the attendance and hotel rooms if you're interested in going down there.
How soon will you have to know?
Well, if I, honestly, as soon as those hotel rooms open up, I would need to know,
Yeah, you won't get into.
because you won't get in.
You won't get
Will
in.
they have the agenda out before?
The hotel
They
rooms,
normally
yes,
do.
Okay,
They will.
yeah, because we haven't seen an agenda yet, it's not
Yeah,
out
so-
yet, so who knows if you wanna go.
Yeah, and then it does cost a little bit more. There's 3 hotels. You can go to the,
I usually book you with the cheapest one.
yeah. Cheap. But, yeah, but boy, one time we were late and then we had to put me in the big
West Baden?
West Baden. That was nice. Wasn't that much difference. Okay, let's see. The resolution, we gotta transfer funds between minor and major budget classifications. It's general park and pool donations fund, and you wanna explain that a little bit? I know you sent out the,
Yeah, the resolution is just moving money around from one budgeted line item to
we can
another.
spend it.
So we're not overspent in like operating cost and versus repairs or whatever. So we usually do this twice a year. And I do it for June 30th because I'm getting ready to work on my budget. I want my budget to be correct, and then I do it at the end of the year.
I'll move that we pass resolution 002-2025.
I need a second.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor, say aye. Okay. John, you got any comments?
Just one.
Let's see.
I need to stand up.
Well, let's be safe and do it. We'll see what the test says. If we can talk from the chairs, then that's gonna be,
All right, so all summer I've kind of been taking care of the ball fields. I guess it's gonna fall on us if we want them to stay decent, and I would like to do a little work to all 3 of them. Need to add some type of a field conditioner, or at the very least, good sand to mix in with that limestone. Cause that stuff is like concrete right now, you can't even run a spike drag over it. So I'm asking that you let me spend $1,000 to $1,500 per field this fall, so I can get that done.
okay. We've always taken care of those ball diamonds, so that's nothing
I
new.
mean, it needs to be done. I mean, some equipment would be nice, but I think I know enough people I might be able to borrow something.
Looking at you, Bussy. You know, there is nothing like when that park is full. Oh, my goodness.
I just wish the season went
I
on
do
longer,
too.
'cause
Yeah.
come June
Well-
1st, it's pretty much done.
I was also approached, I don't wanna run it, but I was approached about possible
Fall league.
8 and 10-year-old tournament the weekend of the Freedom Fest. It would start on Friday night, be done, you'd have to be done by 3, I think, on Saturday.
Didn't we try that one, or no, that was on Freedom Fest though, wasn't it?
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it was talked about, I wouldn't wanna run it, and at that point, it would be pretty much a travel ball tournament anyway. So,
Well, and we couldn't really do it on, because of the setup of the carnival.
let's try. Or, I mean, Freedom Fest, not Freedom Fest.
That's what we did before.
Oh,
Freedom,
okay.
Freedom Fest.
The only thing is
So
you gotta be done by what,
You
2
gotta be done
o'clock
by
or
3:30.
3:30?
Right.
Yeah.
And then you do bracket play Friday and
Yeah.
Saturday morning, and then
Yeah, it was a rush, wasn't it?
3 games for each class on the Sunday.
Yeah, we-
But the idea is you keep 8 or 10 teams in town for the Freedom Festival
They're up
and
there
their
eating.
families.
Mhm.
So I don't wanna run it, but remember the guy from Covington
Oh, yeah.
that came in? I thought about contacting him to see if he would be willing to run a tournament in our facility, but I want our facility to be nice if we're gonna do it.
Okay.
And if you would, I mean, we're not gonna make money on that, but it's gonna bring people to town.
Right.
Will it be all 3 fields?
Problem.
The hopes would be, yes, all 3 fields.
Depends how many
We'd have to
teams.
use a portable mound, which they have up there
Yeah.
on the softball field for pitching, so.
So,
But,
I guess first things first here, let's talk about the 1,500. Are you okay to let John spend up to 1,500 for the
That's
sand
per field.
it's per
per
field.
field?
I don't think it'll be that much if I just do sand. If I wanna work it in, Might have to get some calcified clay too. Just need something that keeps it from
Okay.
compacting like it does, cause the water won't go through it.
I'm okay with that. What needs to be done?
Yeah, especially, if, me and John was talking about getting tournaments in here, and that would be a good thing for,
Oh, yeah, it's gotta be in good shape.
yeah.
And I'm gonna talk to the baseball and softball association, because the bases are junk, home plates are junk.
Well, yeah,
I don't mind putting that stuff in, but I don't think that we should have to cover all that cost.
Right. If we put the sand and take care of the fields, they can surely
I
buy
mean,
some bases.
I don't want them putting the stuff in.
No,
Is what I'm saying.
no.
You get it here for me.
Right.
Because, I mean, there's already one field where, home plate's about 20 degrees off angle, and
It's gotta be laser.
pitcher's mount
Yeah.
doesn't line up with second base and home plate, and it's just little things like that.
Play some softball.
It's gotta be lasered and put in.
I make a motion that we let John get the baseball fields in shape.
Up to 1,500 per dime.
Yeah, up to $1,500 a field.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We have a discussion going, okay. Yeah.
Now, I've got a question for John.
Three fields. Huh?
How about that tree? By my house.
Oh, yeah, we need to talk about that too.
Yeah.
I got a Hancock Street. Is that the 300 block?
Yeah, it's 300 bucks.
300 block. There's a dead tree. It's not ours. Well, I don't know if it's ours or not anymore. So, but if it falls, it's gonna take down some of our lines. They're not primary lines, but they're lines nonetheless.
Then it's our problem.
So if it's ours, I don't have to talk to the landowner. I'll just go cut it down. It's in our right of way.
How close to the road is it?
About 3 feet.
It's ours.
Yeah, it's ours.
Yeah.
It's between the road and the
So
sidewalk.
you
Well, where the
notify him,
sidewalk used
you
to
would
be.
notify him, but then it
You
doesn't
tell
matter.
him.
Yeah, I mean, it's Browns. It's, what's her name?
Oh,
Uh,
Brown,
yeah,
You just tell them,
Christian's brother.
we just tell them that we're taking it down.
So,
And the power lines run through it.
right.
okay.
Okay.
Needs
That's
to
it.
come down.
Forgot. Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
What else does John need to talk about?
That's
Oh, okay.
it for him.
Kyle,
That I
you-
know.
You got anything for us, Kyle? Sandy, do you have anything for us?
No.
Barry, do you have anything?
Nope.
Doug, I think you do.
I'm long-winded tonight.
Oh, no.
Bear with me. Curfews, we gotta get something going on curfews.
No, we have a curfew.
They've been, 2 girls and they was 3 girls riding double on a bike, electric bikes. They was in the park close to 11 o'clock Saturday night. And I seen them last night too, about 10:35, 10:40. And, people don't, after that big shooting in Indianapolis, that really hit home with me about people not taking care of their kids.
Yeah, I wrote 3 warnings 3 days ago.
Yeah.
None of them were little girls though.
Yeah.
For
And
the
then,
electric bikes?
No, it's for curfew.
yeah,
Oh, curfew.
and then there's,
Bikes are all over the place.
I know,
Yeah.
Well,
dangerous.
there's people in the park just about every night
Yeah.
after. I know the sign says you're not supposed to be there after dark, but when I'm sitting on my back deck, they're out there almost every night.
and then a little girl, these electric scooters, there's tons and tons of little kids on electric scooters.
I saw 2 today just driving up to the
Yeah,
park.
and I mean, they come across like I was going south on Vine Street, and one didn't even stop at the church. And she could just barely see over the handlebar of the steering arm of that electric scooter.
That's why I brought it up last month.
Yeah.
About that, and it's an issue.
What happens if they hit your car and damage your car?
And they
These
don't have
guys-
insurance?
Yeah, they ain't gonna have
Well,
insurance
it's
on
gonna-
it.
Parents.
Yeah, it's gonna fall over probably a civil issue.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. you know, and then for hitting their kid, they're gonna say it's your fault. And when you make a town ordinance where they gotta register them and put a plate on them, they have to be so old to ride them. Cause them electric bikes are just like a moped.
There's an answer to that question, Doug, I don't know. I mean, it's all over, so
Yeah.
the question is, if we wanna look into it, we can,
Because they go faster than our posted speed limit.
oh yeah, and they're quiet and, yeah.
Yeah, when I talk to the parents, when I see them, they're, every time you get, well, they're legal, they're sold at Walmart.
Walmart tells them they're legal.
I'm like, that's not how it works. I mean, there is an I think they're called electric bicycles.
Mhm.
And there is an electric bicycle or state law that we've always gone by. But it's the same as anything else with a juvenile. I mean, you can't impound it.
You can't?
You can't, why can't, if they're after curfew and you catch them, you can't impound the bike and have it towed?
No, because from what we were told by the prosecutor, and it came up in that lawsuit that we had several years ago, if you remember, that he says the state law, even though Indianapolis says something different, he says the state law doesn't allow you to detain for curfew. They'll allow you to tell them they have to go home and you can meet them at their house to talk to their parents. But if that's the case, then you would say you need to walk your electric scooter back to your house and I'll meet you there. Because we got into that deal because in the police report, he had written that he detained him for curfew, even though he detained him because he was breaking into a house. But the report didn't say that, and when it was submitted, they were like, you know, we're suing you because you detained him for curfew. And all I had to do was be a rescinded report and the correct report put in. But, I mean, yeah, it is a major problem because I've seen little kids, they ride here, and I've seen dump trucks about hit the grocery store because they're slamming on their brakes to swerve away from hitting a kid. And, you know, it comes back to you talk to the parents and, you know, just whether it be if they shooting houses with BB guns or, you know, whatever, you talk to the parents are responsible, but that's what happens.
But at one time, we had more sex offenders in Waynetown than Crawfordsville had, right? Didn't we have like 15?
We probably are close to that now.
Yeah, that's just about one child molester on every street.
Yeah, and the
In
sheriff's
Waynetown.
office does follow the state law, I know that for a fact, that they come and check on them
Yeah.
twice a month like they're supposed to make sure they're still living there, but, you know, again, it comes back to how the prosecutor interprets it, because we have that one right over here that you and I tried to get out of town
Yeah.
based on the law, and prosecutor said, nope, not doing it. So,
Well, if you want me to look around and see what other communities are doing about the electric bike, I know 20 years ago in Crawfordsville, I do an ordinance, no downtown sidewalks for skateboards. Skateboards was the thing back then, skateboards and bicycles, and leaving my office, I was almost hit by a guy in an e-bike with the earbuds in, just zipped right by, so.
So I know that there is, if you have those, if you're 15 with a valid permit and head and eye protection, like helmet and eyeglasses or face shield or whatever, then they're legal. But none of these kids are 15.
No.
They're 6 or 7 and they're zooming around and half of them wreck and cry in the 6 mile road. But I think the best thing we could probably do is, I don't know, can you cite their parents for it?
You know, because prosecutors think in terms of juvenile delinquency and crime. We've got ordinances. Now, the ordinances are all civil. Ordinance violations are civil.
We don't have an ordinance against them because we go by state law.
Correct. So we've got got an ordinance on golf carts. Crawford's got an ordinance on skateboards and bicycles on downtown streets. We could at least look into that. If the council wants, I don't invent this stuff whole. I'll find out what other communities have it, and we can take a look at what some of the other ordinances are.
Cause I know a few years ago, we changed the curfew ordinance, based on that not detain thing. First one's a warning, and then it goes like 25 to 100, and then it just goes 250, 500, and it just keeps going, and it's helped some and not helped some.
Yeah, because Kyle wears two hats. He wears the law enforcement hat reporting to the prosecutor, but he also wears the town marshal hat for ordinance violations. And that's you guys and the town attorney enforcing and all that, so.
If you write an ordinance violation, in this, they have the right to bring in their attorney and you and.
We can go to court and go to.
Yeah, but don't you have to establish something here saying there's a community court? Because I know we did that before because we were gonna do, before the law changed, we were gonna do any speeding tickets on the outside.
We were gonna try to do it through a town court, yeah.
And
The cost of doing that ended up being not worth
well,
it.
that and the state changed their law to where anything traffic related on a public street is state ticket, not ordinance, so.
But we can explore that. I mean, will it solve the problem? No, but it might, if it solves a problem, a kid here or there, maybe.
Because the county cop can't enforce curfew,
Not in town.
not in our town.
You can't,
He can tell them to go home, but that's all he can do.
the state can't enforce county ordinances or town ordinances, and county can't do state or they do state, but they can't do towns, and then we can do all of them. But it, again, comes down to what will the prosecutor do, and if there's a community court, or if we have, like, start one or have the funds to even do that, because, if we do that, I don't know what his rate is, but,
In theory, you can
it's gonna be a
add,
lot more.
you can add town attorney fees and all that, and a $25 fine. If you go to Montgomery Superior 2, can become $500 by the time you're done. But again, how many of these folks have $500 and so.
They wouldn't have bought the e-bike.
Yeah, they have e-bike money, but
Well,
not lawsuit money.
I just don't, I just wouldn't forgive myself on a kid. Get hurt or a kid gets kidnapped or molested or something,
Let me look in to see what e-bike law ordinances there are in some other communities, if any, and then sort of shoot for the August meeting. I'll send something out there.
I'm surprised they don't have to be plated yet, because now anymore, everything has to be plated, whether it's whether it's a golf cart or
They should let us plate them and have the money.
You're gonna put ADA ramps in your sidewalks downtown, you better put a skateboard ordinance in. I think we might have something like that on private property, but not public.
That's all I got. I don't wanna,
Okay, thanks for bringing that up. We need to,
What about Rick?
oh,
Wow,
he already told me he wanted
that just blew right by you.
that. Do we need to set up some kind of an ADA committee then that would work with, or just let John do it with, David?
Oh, sure, pile it on John.
I know, you wanna do it?
I already did my sidewalk, so.
Yeah, you did.
But,
Looks nice too.
Yeah, thank you, do that to the town.
yeah, I'll send them the bill.
I wouldn't spend $1 till I cut down every tree.
absolutely.
That, I mean, in 2 years, it's gonna be humped right back up. So, just, it's not my money. If you wanna do it, we'll do it, but you better cut
Towns-
down every tree between the sidewalk and the.
Town will look kinda funny with no trees other than
Well, I
replant
mean-
little ones.
Plant them, I
If
wouldn't
we get,
allow
rid-
them.
if we
to
get
be
rid of the
replanted.
ramps, maybe they won't be on their electric scooters ramping them on the sidewalks.
Maybe the thing, I don't remember when that ADA transition plan was done, but maybe a thing between now and the August meeting would be if everybody just sort of took a look at
Look
that.
at it again.
Cause again, that's all federal law, so it's not, if we have a beef with it, it doesn't matter,
What-
it's gonna happen.
Yeah, the state made every community do that plan.
Right.
And and David offered, like he said, he did it for
Mhm.
free for us, paid us several $1,000s.
And we could not have applied, he's correct, we could not, without that plan, we could not have applied
Right.
for the community
This is
crosswalk.
all an
grant.
unfunded mandate, so maybe it makes sense before it just everybody knows what the mandate is, and David's right, it ain't gonna be cheap.
I want to congratulate Wingate Bussy. That they're remodeling, or they're making improvements to their park. And it's gonna be a big old shelter, and they started work on it this week. I was told somebody's gonna send me a photo, and I've not seen that yet for the Journal Review. So, that's awesome to see another community improving. There's park and there's shelter. What's the latest on iPads? Now that we've got all this stuff paid for, we have room on our charge card.
Yes, now that the PNC has been paid for all the
Okay.
live streaming equipment, now I can get back on getting the iPad, yes.
Okay. And
Yes.
anything else? Well, don't leave until you sign the books. Just a reminder, our YouTube channel is Waynetown, Indiana, one word, no space between the two, the words. And, hopefully, if everything goes right, you'll be able to visit and say, now, what exactly did Bob say then? So should be there. I got my fingers crossed. So anyway, if not, we'll call it a glitch and we'll try and do it better next time. Oh, and we will, and there's gonna be a connection to YouTube on Waynetown.net. And then vice versa, then because we also have to, through this law, have to make the agenda available. So we know how to do that. Now that we've got the YouTube channel set up as of today, then we can do that going
That old
forward.
link's gonna take a little time.
Okay,
I move to adjourn.
you really want to?
Yes.
All in
second.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thanks for coming, you guys. Thanks for your
Don't
comments.
forget Scoops is open till 9.
What's the new
Barrett,
flavor?
I'm real disappointed in you. We went to high school and grade school with Clint Summer, and you let all these people pronounce it Sommer.